am well aware that a lot of you probably ran out and picked up a notebook that looks like this, a spiral bound notebook with a lot of different subject dividers in it for like ELA, science, social studies, math, of course. However, the bad news is now I can't require that you do this, so I guess it's not bad news. If you can't do it, then you just can't do it. But I recommend highly that you guys go out and get one of these that you can devote entirely to math. And there's some good reasons behind that. Number one, if you do have one of these already and you have this much paper for math, this will not last you very long. It might last you like a quarter or maybe a month or two, but it will not last the whole year. The whole idea is that you have one notebook like this that has all the math content that we're going to cover this year in one single place. And I'll talk about more reasons for that later. But should you go out and purchase one maybe this weekend or sometime before we start our lessons, I'm not sponsored by them, but I do recommend 5-Star, the 5-Star brand, the 5 subject. That's more than enough paper to get you through the school year. But 5-Star because number one, they have this very durable, thick plastic cover. If you get a spiral notebook with a paper cover, that thing is going to be gone in like a week. Okay, I've looked into 7th graders' backpacks. They're like a black hole. It's unexplainable, the physics. Stuff goes in and it never comes out. It like goes to a different dimension. So I know what a 7th grader's backpack looks like. So I highly recommend the 5-Star, 5 subject spiral notebooks. Also, I know they are a couple dollars extra than the generic brand, but 5-Star also reinforces their spiral. And anyone who has a lot of experience with these types of notebooks knows that the more you open and close and toss it around your room and pull out your backpack, the spirals get like out of alignment and it gets harder and papers start falling out. So I'm not saying these notebooks are indestructible because nothing is. But these notebooks have the highest probability of surviving the school year. So 5-Star notebooks is my recommendation. This is actually one of several notebooks that I have in my cabinet here in my classroom. And I want to work out, for those of you who maybe you already spent your year's budget on school supplies and you just can't manage to go out and get another one. I want to put a pile of these in the front office so that if you really want one of these, but you just can't go out and get one on your own, I want you to be able to come to the school. You can show up in the office and say, hi, my name is so-and-so from Mr. Morita's math class. He should have a notebook for me. And then I want the office to be able to give you one of these because I do have a few of them left. Every year I have students, I ask students to bring in and donate an extra one just for that purpose because these notebooks, they are very, very important and valuable. So don't do it yet because I got to work that out, of course, first with the office, but I'll let you know if that plan comes to fruition, but that's what I'm hoping will happen. Okay, now, the other reason why you want this math notebook to survive the whole year is most of you will take Math 8 next year, okay? I have taught Math 8 in the past, and let me tell you, probably close to half of the lessons and modules that you learn or are taught in Math 8, you actually are taught this year in Math 7. Yeah, you will see a lot of the same material that I teach you this year next year. So if you have all those notes and lessons and homework assignments in your notebook, in a math notebook already, you have an advantage going into your 8th grade math year. So that's why I want you to have one of these. Speaking of math notebooks, I took algebra in my 8th grade year. We made a math notebook, an algebra notebook of all our tests and all our notes and all our homework assignments. I still have mine. It's actually in my cabinet in my classroom. So I'm not saying you have to hold on to these for that long, but it is a good idea because the math that you learned this year, actually last year, this year, and next year, you will be revisiting over and over as you move through math in high school. I don't know about college or whatever, maybe if you go to any school after high school. I can't speak for that, but definitely as you go through high school math, these skills will be revisited. So that's why I want you guys to have a resource like this to take with you and keep with you. Okay, so 5-star, 5-subject is my recommendation. Now, here's an example. This is a former student of mine from a couple of years ago. She shared some pages from her math notebook. So this is what a really, I mean, I don't hold all my students to this level of organization, because this is one of those, she was in my honors 7th grade math class, and she was just like very organized and particular about her notes. So you can see on the left side, you can see those are what the lesson notes look like. And I'm going to talk about it a little bit later, but actually I'll talk about it now. The work that you do for me, homework, if we were to do paper and pencil tests, but we're not this year, but I'll talk about that again. I'll talk about that also later. All the work that you do for me and submit in Google Classroom as far as like homework assignments needs to be done in pencil, okay? Paper and pencil. So to kind of go back to the why I still have my students do math notebooks is I'm still kind of an old school guy. My belief as a professional educator is no matter how much technology we incorporate into the classroom, there's absolutely no substitution for doing math work in writing it down, actually writing it down physically with paper and pencil. There's no substitution. Typing it in or putting it on like a PDF or something, it's just not the same. The cognitive memory functions are more efficient, and it stores long-term memory better to the actual physical act of writing stuff down, as opposed to, like, I don't know, if you didn't write it down or just typed it in. There's actually scientific research to back this up. I'm not just making up, I promise. So that's why I have my students create a math notebook every year, and that's why you are now one of my students. So you get to partake. On the right, you can see an example of homework. So on the left, like I mentioned, this student used multiple colored pens. I recommend like mine, lots of colored pens. When you guys see my first set of lesson notes, you'll see why. I do my lesson notes on Notability, so it's very colorful, but it's not colorful just for aesthetics. I don't just want to look pretty, it's color coded. So as you guys get used to my handwritten notes, you'll see there is a method to the madness. But pens are like, lesson notes are like the only time when you're doing math work for my class where a pen is like probably more favorable than pencil. But you can do your notes in a pencil, but having multiple colors is very, very helpful. As you can see on the right side, there is marker on the page, but this student has corrected her homework. So homework is another big thing. Paper, pencil, all the time, no exceptions, okay? You want to show your work. You want to check your homework when we go over homework. You want to write out the problems. And this is why. I don't accept a homework assignment that just has answers. Number one, because that doesn't help you. What I want you guys to understand is when I assign you homework, homework is really an extension of the lesson. It's practicing those skills in the lesson. So you got to think of them as they go together, okay? And the whole point of this math notebook is you're creating yourself a math resource that you can then look back at and study from. So for example, if we're going through a module and we get to the module test and you need to study, it's really, really important that you have clear and detailed notes. Your homework assignments are completed, meaning they have the problem, steps for completing the problem, and any notes that, like say you get a problem wrong on your homework assignment, well, if I go over it in class, you want to take notes on what I'm doing because you missed it for a reason, and you want to remember the steps for solving the problems correctly. So if you just have paper with answers on it, that's not going to help you study and prepare for the test. So think of it as an investment of time and detail that you guys are creating for your future selves, okay? You don't want to get to the point where you're studying for a test, but your notes are incomplete, your homework is missing, because that's not going to help you. That's going to create more work for you in the future. So you want to really plan ahead. I give you guys plenty of time to do your notes, and we go over every homework problem that you ask me to go over. for every assignment. So I'm very thorough with my instruction, and you should do the same with your lesson notes and homework. So that is the math notebook in kind of a nutshell.